Okay, can we all stand that's able to? Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for
which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Can I do that nice?
Okay, can you do roll call?
Of course. Joe Britton,
Present.
Rachel Chaleski, who's trying to get on.
She's having trouble getting on.
Yep. Kate Canetta here. Gladys Cooper.
Yeah.
Lauren Daly.
here.
Joe De Silva.
Here.
Catherine Hodgson.
Here.
Rich Janelli.
Here.
Kathy Molinaro.
Here.
Al Russo.
Here.
Amy Spolino.
Here.
We have 10 present at this time.
We have all present except one is trying to get on, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Sal, do you want to do the recognitions at this time?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. You all know that we received notice last week from the governor to vaccinate our teachers, and I needed to bring the folks here tonight to recognize the yeoman work that they did over the weekend, prepared in order for us to be loaded up on Monday morning. I'll let them talk a little bit about the actual specifics with Kelly, but just to let you know that I think they're with me. That was Gina and Susan Germain, Kathy O'Dowd, Melissa in personnel, Tatiana in Kelly's shop, and Jen Gonzalez worked feverishly to load up names. Kelly got on, in fact, Sunday night, double-checked the appointments for us. And the feedback that I got, emails that I got, that when folks went there, not only was it well organized, but it ran as smooth as they've seen those things run. We had, I guess, our explorers that volunteered to be there, and they kind of directed traffic, but it's just a job that's beyond well done. So Kelly, can you, or Kathy, maybe just update the board, let them know actual numbers, and if I've missed anyone, and Kim, thank you as well for spearheading it from your office. Very much appreciated. Kathy O'Dowd, are you here with me?
Yep, I'm here. Yes, thank you, Dr. Sal. Good evening, everyone. This was truly a team effort. I also want to thank Gina Jasmine, Kim Thompson, everyone behind the scenes who made this happen. It was a tremendous undertaking, getting all of our staff loaded into vans. And then Kelly was tremendously helpful in creating the Google document because this was a closed clinic just for our teachers and other staff to get everybody signed up, to get them scheduled for appointment slots. And then I also have to extend a great thank you to our school nurses. We have had some of our nurses who have been working per diem for the health department all along since December. But again, with this big undertaking of trying to vaccinate, it was close to 1,000 people in 2 days. Many of our school nurses volunteered their time, and they were at those clinics on Friday and Saturday, and they were a huge part of making that flow so smoothly. I too have received nothing but positive feedback and appreciation from everyone. It was certainly our pleasure to make this happen for our staff. You know, we're one step closer to getting over the hill here. And just a thank you to all team members who were involved.
If I didn't mention Kara Prunty.
Yes, Kara, absolutely.
She is there. Kara worked with the state to get everything lined up with Kathy, and then just hit the pedal and didn't stop. So Kara, thank you for making that, get that thing done for us. Someone else.
Sal, I think Kelly and I just would like to say a few words. You know, we've been here a long time, and it's rare that we ask people to come to this meeting to share with you what they accomplished. And I think that, you know, I speak for Kelly and myself that it was nothing short of moving a mountain in a very, very short period of time. And I just wanted to take a second to give you all some perspective just about the sheer volume and the time. We really uploaded almost 2,000 employees on Monday. When the moment came, 12:01, Sunday night into Monday, we were ready to go, and we had gathered all of our forces and got all of those folks entered into VAMS, really in a collaborative effort with Susan Germain, one of our nurses, who really just took the bull by the horns and learned the VAMS system, worked closely with Gina, who helped her to upload the huge batches of information. And just that process alone, just the fielding the emails and the responses. I didn't get an email. I didn't hear anything from you. Why didn't I get included on the list? How do I get enrolled? Just the troubleshooting. We set up a dedicated email, a hotline basically for troubleshooting, which crashed. So we dealt with kind of volumes and volumes of information to get everybody in and just registered in the system. And the handoff with Kelly kind of came on Sunday evening, I think, as she was shooing her parents out of her dining room and saying, I need to move over. But we needed to make the transition into how we were then going to get everyone appointments. We didn't use any agency. We didn't want to put it all on the Department of Health. They were already so overwhelmed. So Kelly, if you just want to take a couple minutes just to describe what Sunday night was and Monday getting our teams together.
So what we did is we created a Google form which people could go in and indicate, yes, they were interested in being vaccinated in district. No, they were not. And if they were interested, what we did is we gave them a choice or a menu of designated times. And that email rolled out on Monday afternoon. And so when we hit go, you know, I'm texting Kim and team saying, all right, I'm sending it. No sooner did I click send and there was 49 responses. We got 500 responses in under 7 minutes. So people were waiting, you know, this was something that they wanted. I was worried that the form wasn't going to keep up with the system. So then what happened, of course, is, you know, the time slots that we said it was a request, you know, just give us what you'd like. We then had to go through and make sure that we could confirm all the appointments. This was simply a request and we had to make confirmations. So, you know, Kim, Kathy, and Gina worked together and said, okay, we need to pull in some additional people. And that's really where Melissa Bang, Tatiana Reinert, and Jennifer Gonzalez, who are the admin assistants to both Kim and myself, really came in and, you know, I can't say enough things about them. I think Monday evening we did a 10 p.m. call. I was in my PJs with my glasses on. So I apologize for that, but they just really helped in troubleshooting everything. So truly people just were I think the message here is they could not wait to sign up. You know, as soon as I called Kara Prunty and said, you know, I'm almost running out of appointments on Friday and Saturday. She's like, add 2 more to every single time slot. We'll get them in. I'll find additional volunteers. Our nurses stepped up to the plate. You know, and volunteered their time. And we were so appreciative of that. You know, local, you know, doctors and nurses from the area also volunteered. We could not have done this without everyone. So we were able to offer 12 appointments every 10 minutes for a window of about 6 hours on Friday evening and then about 8 hours on Saturday. And during that time, we were able to vaccinate over 900 Danbury Public Schools teachers and nearly 1,000 people during those windows. Really big kudos to Christy Zalita. We, I think, took over her school and she's done it with a smile on her face. You know, we had the police explorers there. You know, I laughed. I walked in like I was just going to walk in. They're like, where's your appointment? I had to show my ticket and they, you know, walked us down and made sure that the traffic was flowing in one way. It was really nice to see them in action. And just everyone, the sense that we got was everyone just had smiles, the thank yous, the pictures, the sense of relief from everyone. So truly, no, it was, I think, a pleasure of all of it. It was a lot of work, but I think all of our pleasure to kind of engage in it and make sure we were able to do this. Everyone is scheduled for their second vaccine. So if you got your first vaccine with us, you're scheduled for your second. This week, we're running some additional appointments on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon. as well as some appointments on Saturday. We just sent out the final all call to say, we believe we've gotten everyone. If we've missed you, please reach out to us. We will have been able to offer the vaccine by the end of the day Saturday to all of our employees, with a couple of exceptions for people that need to wait for various different situations till next week. So I just, big thank you to the team. It was truly a great effort, and I was proud to be part of it.
I hope you are all, can join us in being just proud of the community effort that these teams all put in. I think it was really something. It was magic. So
maybe we can come off from mute. Can everybody come off from mute and we can give them a round of applause?
Great job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do you have to do the same thing for the second round?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we're going to cut and paste the date. Whatever you had last time, we're getting this time.
Far enough.
Yes.
Date and time.
Yes.
Great.
So,
Thank you all.
thank you
very
all.
much.
Thank you all.
Fabulous.
You stop and think about it, guys. That's going to put us in better stead in order to bring back folks. And we've always said right along since September 1 safely. So I bow to you guys, and we're just so appreciative. Thanks again. And thank you, Kara, too. I know you pulled up, I won't say you pulled strings, but you managed to tell them that we were able to run our own clinic. And the result of that caused us to be in this position. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next on the agenda is public participation. Kate, would you read the public participation strip?
The board welcomes public participation and asks that comments be limited to 3 minutes. The public may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System. Due to the unique nature of the COVID-19 crisis and the limitations of technology, members of the public who are Danbury residents are invited to send brief comments and questions via email in advance to dps_public_BOE@danbury.k12.ct.us.
Thank you, Kate. Sandy, would you go through the comments or read the comments for us, please?
Sure. Jose Pimentel, parent of 2 DPS students. Martin Luther King said that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. There is a severe injustice happening to our community as a few legislators block an entire school. There is injustice as many of our teachers and administrators have had to commute long hours and work in other cities. I will say it bluntly, the open choice was nothing but a political ploy by our Danbury delegation to ensure that the mostly Black and brown parents in Danbury did not get the school that they have been desperately fighting for. You cannot sit idly by and allow smoke and mirror programs like Open Choice that will only serve about 50 students to keep us from the real work to be done. The time for courage from our board is now. We have asked for lead to be included as an independent committee to recruit and develop Latin teachers and administrators. Some of our members have applied and made themselves available to help ensure a more equitable society that has been ignored. This is not the 1940s. We cannot continue to ignore and deny the largest demographic, the representation and equity they demand. We demand respect and ask that we are no longer ignored. In Danbury, the overwhelming majority of our students are of Latin descent. This demographic continues to be ignored and underrepresented. The status quo seems to be just fine with our elected officials. We, the leaders of this community, have grown sick and tired of begging for the scraps of the table when it is our table. As the board begins the process of seeking a superintendent, we will strongly suggest that the board considers an aggressive search for a qualified Latin superintendent that can relate and represent our student population. We are opposed to the Open Choice program and are advocating for a Latin educational leader and the ability to expand our educational options. Gabriela Ramon. As a mother of 3, my biggest dream is to provide my children with a very good education and to make sure they grow in a safe environment. As a member of the Danbury community, I am here to ask this committee for their support in opening Danbury Prospect. This school will ensure that our kids of our community have all the tools they need to achieve their full potential. As a parent, I would like my children to achieve a prosperous future where they develop a lifelong love of education and it can become a very important part of their lives. Unfortunately, as a negative impact of the overcrowded classrooms in our Danbury Public Schools, I had the opportunity to discuss this matter with many parents who are concerned and uncertain of what the future holds for our children if there is no solution given immediately. The Danbury Prospect Charter School is willing to provide a tuition-free and wonderful world-class program, which also helped dramatically with the overcrowded schools. I definitely support this initiative. It will benefit our children with a great world-class learning program, excellent teaching, and diversity. It will also be an important addition of our growing city of Danbury. I also believe that the minority community, especially Latinos, do not have adequate educational options for their children. Many of our parents face the dilemma of having to pay for a private school they can't afford or send their kids to school that are either too big or severely overcrowded. Danbury Prospect is another option that is ready to open this year and can give our community a much needed option. We believe as parents that we should have the option to choose the best of our interests in the education of our kids, and Prospect Charter School is a school that we support and believe in. I ask that you please help us convince our own legislators to support this school and include it in this year's budget. Maria Matos, resident of Danbury, parent leader, and member of Latinos for Educational Advocacy in Danbury. Latinos in Danbury need a school that strives to create a safe place in which staff and students reflect our community and every student can feel represented and cared for. When students are taught by educators who look like and sound like them, they blossom into leaders. I cannot think of anything this city needs more desperately than a school that will serve our most vulnerable. Danbury families are unified in their support of educational choice. Thousands of supporters have met with, called, and emailed their elected officials. We've had rallies, we've been to the Capitol, and we have been fighting to open a charter school for years. Our community has spoken loud and clear, so I ask you to please give Danbury families the gift of a new tuition-free public charter school with a culturally relevant curriculum and a commitment towards a diverse and inclusive teaching staff. Our community members have shown so much support, and now it's time for our elected leaders to act. I sincerely hope Danbury families will be able to reap the benefits of a charter school and be able to take pride in our children's school system. The last one was sent in Spanish, so I'm going to read it translated. I'm hoping it makes complete sense. Gloria Castillo, she has lived in Danbury, in the city of Danbury for 23 years. Today, I bear witness to the inequality in the education system of this city with the Hispanic community, since we do not have enough representation at the school level and at the state level, especially when our children need guidance, support, and academic help. Our children do not receive it because the schools are overcrowded and there are not enough resources to solve the problem. The answer for us, and for which we have been fighting for years, is Danbury Prospect. Yet our voices have fallen on deaf ears. I see that our community is the one that always comes last, as well as our children, when it comes to educational options and help. For this reason, I ask our representatives to please, no matter what party they are, to work for our city and for our children. They are an integral part of our state of Connecticut and deserve to be supported equally at the state level. Please finally fund Danbury Prospect School so that it can open and provide a high-quality education for children like my children who desperately need it. I look forward to your endorsement in this legislative session. And Ms. Cooper, I'm just hitting refresh really quick.
Okay.
Okay, that is it for public participation, but I just wanted to say that tonight will be my final night doing the board minutes. Unfortunately, with personal circumstances that have happened this past year, I will no longer be able to continue doing the minutes. It has been a pleasure. I appreciate everything that everybody has done and the bonds that I have built here. And I just wanted to say thank you to you all, and I hope to still keep in touch.
Sandy, let me just, before I did want to make sure that the board knew that, and thank you for doing it. You've taken over in so many ways for us, and we're going to miss you. One, for your talent and your skills, and also for the ease of working with us. It hasn't been easy. We've asked for things to be translated, things to be put on air. We heard the parents writing tonight, reaching out to the Hispanic community. You've been integral in doing that, and we will miss you greatly as a person, as a skillful secretary of the board, also as an assistant to us, as reaching out to our community. So thank you. And if I need a sub, I'll be calling you.
I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still.
I know. It's terrific. I don't know if any other board member may want to comment.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sarah.
Thank you.
On behalf of the board, Dr. Sarah, I certainly would like to say thank you to Sandy. She reads beautifully. She speaks eloquent. And, we all have talents that each one of us is different from the other. And, she brings a smile when she comes and does her work for us. And she has never complained since the time that I've known her. So on behalf of the board, Sandy, we hope to keep in touch with you. And we hope that you will continue to keep in touch with us. And we're going to miss you. But thank you so very much, Sandy.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. I will definitely still be in touch with everybody. So thank you all.
So Sandy, in the minutes, if you could just record for me, it's a Board Appreciation Month. I want to say thank you to the board members here. It's a lot of hours, a lot of behind the scenes. People don't realize. I know you take a lot of emails and mindfully get back to folks and try to follow up and work for the benefit of our youngsters any way you can, whether it's getting a building built or working on some new curriculum, being present for interviews, working on the budget, negotiating long hours with contracts. You've always stepped up, you've helped us, and I just really want to say thank you and very much appreciated to all of you for doing that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I would buy you a gift, but our budget was low this year.
Okay. We're gonna move on down the agenda. Kate, would you do the consent calendar?
Of course. I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approves the items on the consent calendar, Exhibit 21-29 through Exhibit 21-32 as recommended.
Second, Joe DeSilva.
Kate, could you do the roll call?
Sure. I just want to make sure that nobody has any comments. No discussion.
No, there's a motion. A motion was made. I need a second, and then we're going to do the roll call. And then at that particular time, they will ask questions. Do the roll call.
Okay. Joe Britton? Aye. Rachel Chalesky?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe DeSilva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Gianelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallino?
Aye.
Okay. So we have 11 in favor. Okay. And the motion is so carried. Could we go down to item 12? Our education and staff representation. Do we have anyone from the NEA?
You do. Good evening, Ms. Cooper. How are you?
Good evening, Aaron. Fine.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Aaron.
Good evening, everyone. Let's start out by seconding that kudos for the vaccine rollout. Whoa,
Yeah,
that was
it was
amazing.
great.
Thank you, Kim, for your ease of communication that your office put out. I received nothing but positive feedback about the communication, the rollout, the process, and many, many teachers told me they were brought to tears upon receiving their vaccines. When have you ever heard about people crying in a good way getting shots? So it was a positive, wonderful experience, and we're moving forward. And the positive energy that was felt at Rogers Park when I personally went for my vaccine, it was like a celebration. So I wanted to thank you all for your effort, because we know we used the word in the past year, Herculean. very, very loosely because we've all done Herculean work, but we know that rollout was truly an amazing and very successful feat that you took on. So we thank you for that. NEA thanks you for that. And we are so thrilled that the majority of teachers are now vaccinated. So always, always, always start off on a positive and have nothing but wonderful things to say about that. Thank you. Dr. Sal, I know I privately congratulated you, but I wanted to publicly congratulate you on your retirement so they're on the board minutes, and just thank you. You've been a pleasure to work with. While we may not always agree on everything or our mission, we don't always go about it in the same way. I think we have this one thing in common, and that's that we always put the care of the staff and the kids first. And I think you've been a teacher advocate, and I think you've been an advocate for Danbury. And I'm personally proud at the job that you've done for our district over the years. So I just wanted to kind of publicly thank you for all of your hard work for us as a community. And now we'll get to my complaints. They're not much, don't worry. I wanted to talk a little bit about the ECS issues and Governor Lamont's kind of freezing of the ECS formula. And Dr. Sal, I saw your letter that you put forward to the committees regarding the ECS funding. And I wanted to kind of draw this back to some of the letters that we just heard from the Prospect Charter Schools. And NEA Danbury takes great objection to some of the things that we're hearing from the Prospect Charter Group. And while I know the board can't speak out upon these issues, I can. And I just want to go on record with saying, some of the letters indicated that Danbury does not have a world-class education system. Disagree 100%. Danbury does not give diverse opportunities to their students. That is completely inaccurate. In fact, it's an out-and-out lie. We do provide those opportunities to our students every day. Teachers that are not representative of our community, we have teachers that represent our community. We pride ourselves in making sure we're connected with our diverse population. That we do not serve our most vulnerable students, my goodness, that's what we're the best at. We do that so darn well, and we do it on a shoestring budget. You all know that. We do so much with so little, and I think, for goodness sakes, we need to get props for that, because to hear a community saying that we're underserving a group of people that we work so hard to make sure that we're including and serving their needs, the only issue at hand really is we need more money to do it even better. We need more money. We all know that. We need more money. We need the ECS formula adjusted and Danbury given its proper due. You've already heard us sing our 169 song for many years. And quite frankly, that's what we should all be embarrassed of as a community, that Danbury is 169 out of all of our communities in the state. That's appalling. That's embarrassing. We can do better. The fact that we're only spending $13,000 or so per pupil when we have other communities spending upwards of $35,000 per pupil. That's where we need to work together. We don't need to bring in an outside charter school to do that. We need to fund the current system that we have the right way. And that means investing in education here in our public schools. So I just wanted to put that on record, and thank you, Dr. Sal, for your work and continuing to push forward the hard work to make everybody outside of Danbury know why that ECS formula being adjusted in the proper way is so important. Bringing it back locally, I wanted to just thank Courtney and Kevin. I've been meeting with them about issues regarding health and safety in our schools, and we're working on a bunch of things. As Courtney mentioned at the last board meeting, we put out a survey to our members, and some of the things that came back were really positive, like Courtney reported on mask wearing. That's been a very positive. Some of our mitigation has been wonderful. Where we still have work to do is making sure our cleaning is done adequately. We're still getting lots of reports with cleaning issues. So I want to bring that to the attention of everyone here tonight to know that we need to do better in those areas. Cleaning, making sure rooms are cleaned, desks are cleaned daily, making sure bathrooms are clean, and making sure basic things like paper towels and soap are available, and that teachers aren't having to, beg for it during the school day. So that's one area we can get better. So I hope we can continue to improve in that area. The other thing that has come up, and you may or may not know that on most Wednesdays, we have our teacher meetings with all of our members around 4 o'clock, right before your meeting here. So I oftentimes get a lot of information that I didn't have the week before. And one thing that's been coming up for the past few weeks is the technology issues that teachers are facing. So I know as we're going to be asked to be doing increased live streaming or increased synchronous instruction, live instruction with our students at home and our hybrid students in front of us, one of the issues that's come forward is the technology inadequacies. Let me give you an example. Many of our teachers have MacBooks, and many of our teachers also have been issued a Chromebook. Chromebooks are woefully inadequate to run a lot of the software and the programs and the high-tech apps that we are now so accustomed to use. They don't do it. They crash. They can't handle it. Our MacBooks can when they're updated, and a lot of our MacBooks, as they've been becoming older, are kind of being phased out, and they're not being replaced. So we have a lot of teachers that are reporting having to try and piece together instruction without sound, without video, with different tools not working. And a lot of the feedback when they've reported some of these incidences has been, well, yeah, we're working on it. So that's great. That's great. We're working on it, but we have to make sure that we put the technology in the hands of teachers so they can do their job and do it well. So good use of the ESSER money discussion that's going to be coming up. Maybe that is a good place for us to put our investment in spending money on appropriate technology that can handle the usage that and the demands that we're now putting out there for our instruction. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of goes along with that technology issue. We continue to have a sub shortage, which we knew we were going to have. That's really not what I'm here to discuss. When we do get sub coverage in our classrooms, when we do have people covering in our virtual classrooms, the devices that they've been issued don't connect with the devices that teachers are working with. So a lot of times we have people, when we do have a body or a human being to cover a class, they can't access someone else's Google Classroom because the technology isn't connecting, or they don't have the ability because of the infrastructure. So these are huge issues that we really need to work on to kind of build our infrastructure moving forward. And they're things that are going to cause roadblocks as we progress with opening and moving forward in that process. Which brings me to the final thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's our class sizes. So I've talked to Dr. Sal and Kevin about this back in January when members brought to our attention that we have many classes in Danbury that are over our contractual limit of the amount of pupils per class. So that is a current concern. And in order to move forward, we really need to make sure that, one, that we're adhering to our contract language. So elementary classes, there should be no roster bigger than 25 students in a class if we're going to adhere to contract language, and 30 at the high school and middle school. Those are important things that if we don't have that in check right now, moving to additional or future phases of opening is going to be a real roadblock for us as well. And it certainly will be a roadblock for space issues, for mitigation and social distancing. So I just wanted to bring a few of those things that we still have work to do in the coming weeks if we're going to move forward. But I also wanted to just, bring kudos and accolades to the hard work that has taken place in the past few weeks. And I thank you all. And again, thank you, Kim, for all the work that your office has done in the past few weeks. So air high five to you as I do with my students. And I'll say good night to y'all.
Good night, Erin, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chair Cooper, could I just address one piece of Aaron's comment?
Yes.
Comments. We have some good news to announce, Aaron, that we do have additional custodial support that will be starting in the schools on Monday. For each school, they're getting an additional custodial support that will be helping out in the cleaning mitigation, partly as a result of our conversation and conversations with the principals. And so we look forward to working with you to ensure that things are moving in a positive trajectory. And thanks for bringing that feedback to us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Courtney.
So for
Okay, thank you.
board, as long as you brought up, I got to thank Kim too, and the union, because these are, I'm going to use the word purchase services. We have been looking for hiring and we've not been able to. So we did talk to our union. Kim has talked to the union, the Teamsters in our local, and told them the predicament, and they're permitting us to do this. So I need to thank them all publicly. You don't find a lot of employee groups saying, okay, go out and hire folks and bring them in. They realize the need, Aaron just, talked about, and we want to make sure that the place is clean and safe, and they'll be dedicated to all of that. So I need to publicly thank all of them for doing that. And thank you, Kim, for getting it negotiated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarah. Is Dr. Delita here?
I'm ready.
Yes, she is.
Okay. Thank you. Good to see you.
Video, she tells me.
So thank you first to the team for working so hard to make the vaccine clinics such a success. It really is a true testament to the fabric of who we are as a district. And on behalf of DSAA, we just want to express our sincerest gratitude and appreciation. And I agree with Aaron. People were just overjoyed with the relief and that feeling of there's hope out there. So thank you all for all the ridiculous amount of work that it took to do that. So thank you. Moving on with my Tell Me Something Good with the last 6 schools. South Street Principal Vargas Guevara, she shared with me that South Street is doing some amazing things. Our students in 4th and 5th grade attend school daily, even if they are home or full DL, as those are our 2 grades that continue to departmentalize, and the teachers started live streaming 5 days a week since we came back in January. Those students are all in 5 days a week. The teachers love it, and while not the best instructional model for our students in this platform, it's the best we can offer for our students to have consistency, both to meet their academic and emotional needs. Principal Bradley at Morris Street School shared with me that they're finding new ways to do things and stepping out of their comfort zones. We have learned a whole new way to teach, and growth is something to be grateful for. They've learned better or more efficient ways to do things, like virtual parent-teacher conferences and staff meetings. They're building relationships with parents in ways that they've never had before, and many families are more hands-on with their children's learning. Even though it's been a tough road, they've learned that they can all bounce back and learn new things. They rely on each other and are growing in knowledge of technology, stretching our creative thinking, and expanding our flexibility and patience. Our school community has become even stronger. We have all been in this together for 1 year and have worked together through plans, schedules, sickness, and more. We are a team. Our students are amazing and persevere with their learning. As one 4th grade student so aptly stated when analyzing a character, Dog is a survivor. He accepts life's hardships and realizes life goes on, and he will make the most of it. Our students make us proud in all learning environments. From Haystown Avenue School, Principal Furman shared with me that they have participated in many exciting events at Haystown. On January 26th, they had a PTO literacy night. Students could choose their favorite teacher or principal to read them a bedtime story on Google Meet. This was very well attended, and a great time was had by all. Last week, they celebrated Read Across America, and all teachers were provided with a slideshow of administrators, teachers, and DHS students reading books. They had a Read My T-shirt day and a hat day. Many teachers have reported extraordinary efforts on the part of their students. They had 2nd graders reading over an hour on Epic. The kids are really pushing hard, and so are the teachers. They also did a fundraiser for Brain Cancer, a charity near and dear to their hearts. The charity raised over $3,000. Keep up the great work, Haystown students and staff. Go Dragons. From Principal Smith at Great Plains School, thank you, members of the board, for allowing Great Plains and other schools the opportunity to share things that are happening at school. Great Plains sent out a video to the parents and community on What I Am. Great Plain is pleased to announce that we will be gearing up for the spring assessments. STAR testing is coming, no problem. SBA is coming, no problem. The students and community members participated in Read Across America. The video was created by the staff, posted on the site, and shared with students in an effort to make them laugh and, of course, happy. The Great Plain team is in constant communication with parents about how to support the child and community needs. We could not do anything without the love and dedication of our Great Plains staff and parents. Again, thank you. And AIS Principal Roche shared, our social worker noted, Mother Teresa said, we can do no great things, only small things with great love. During the pandemic, staff purchased refrigerators, collaborated with our amazing PTO to create AIS Families Helping Families, which delivered grocery gift cards. One parent who always donated food and gift cards said during a PTO meeting, I have never seen anything like this. Where do you find staff like this? Teachers drove computers to homes and some drove gifts to all their students. An AIS and PTO food toy drive filled our media lab and conference rooms. A staff member said, people who work here and our families care for one another, and we truly are an AIS family. Special events included science presentations, recycling programs, history lessons taught by the director of the Danbury Museum, and a WestCon Theater Department collaborative. A theater arts event, art club, theater club, Greg Tang, math lessons, and a viewing of Mars Landing. We had our third annual spelling bee virtually at AIS. Sophie and Arna went to 28 rounds before crowning a champion. Arna will go on to the Connecticut State Spelling Bee along with our 2020 champion, Eva Balco. A parent told me a few years back, where I work, if someone spends 5 minutes at school after the bell, they want an extra duty pay, and at AIS, it's the way you all operate. I'm grateful to our amazing parents, students, and staff for their resiliency during the most challenging time. And I'm going to close with Ellsworth Avenue Principal Durkin. She shared with me a video that I'd like to share with you of two students working together while one is at home and one is at school. So I'm going to attempt to try to do this share screen. Oh, it should work. Thank you, Kara P, for letting, do you all see that little video? You have thumbs up, just so I know. I'll hit play. Is it, you see it, yes? Okay, thank you, Courtney.
Computer while he's at home, Tiago?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because I helped him upgrade his book. He helped me upgrade my book. At first, I only had this page, and until he helped me, I had this much pages.
Wow.
And this is how big my table of contents is.
Wow. Adnan, did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you like it, working with a partner who's at school?
Because it is so fun to help each other, and then we get more better, and then left out alone. If you're left out alone, like, that's not good. Like, if you work with partners, that's more like nice to work, and then you can not fall behind and you can be better.
Yes, that's wonderful. Okay, but tell Adnan, sorry, time for dismissal.
Sorry, but it's time for dismissal. Okay. Maybe next week when I come back to school, maybe we can go into a breakout room again, and then you can have me upgrade my writing again. Or on Tuesday, if it's going to be school, it's going to be higher bird because it's snow. I don't know, but we can do a breakout room that day. Can we?
So I thought that was a really apt way to close. And I just want to say I appreciate so much that we're able to share these awesome things that are happening. Our teachers and administrators are working really hard. And I'm happy to share it with you. Next week, I'm going to get pictures, and I'm looking for a show from around the school. So thank you so much. Hope you all have a great night.
And thank you again. Next on our agenda, before I move on, I'm sorry, do any board members have any question for Dr. Zelita? Okay, moving on, our student representatives.
Good evening, Board of Ed members, cabinet, and community members. Thank you for allowing me to represent and speak on behalf of the Alternative Center for Excellence. ACE students are participating in the 53rd Annual Danbury Cultural Commission Poetry Contest. Students from the entire school will have the opportunity to submit their original works. Submissions are due by March 29th. ACE is recognizing Women's History Month as a community by engaging in learning activities and projects designed to celebrate and honor the accomplishments and contributions that women have made in our society. Works of art to celebrate Women's Month will be added to the ACE Creativity Showcase website. ACE Guidance Counselor Diana Donato is organizing a March into Wellness Day that will include virtual meets with the community members who perform duties in their careers related to serving the community, as well as promoting physical and emotional well-being.
ACE will be holding our SAT Day for 11th graders on March 24th. A special thanks to our SAT administrator, Kyle Tricola, and our Laura Blake, Anthony Hellman, and Melissa Lasky for providing this opportunity to our students. ACE would like to announce our CABE Awards winners, Lila Freitas and Brian Galarza, for consistently demonstrating strong leadership skills. ACE would like to publicly acknowledge and congratulate our February Students of the Month, Kaylee Cottrell and Josh Poland. Lastly, ACE would like to congratulate our most recent Student of the Week award winners, Jalen Batista and Serena Som. Congratulations to the both of you, and keep up the great work during the rest of semester 2. Thank you all for allowing us to share the great things happening at our ACE family this spring. With our ACE family this spring. Stay safe, everyone, and remain ACE strong.
Thank you, Nicole. Okay. So does any board members have any questions for any of our students? Seeing none, we're going to move on down the agenda to action item A. Joe Britton, would you do the action item A, please?
Sure thing. I would like to make a motion that the Board of Education approve a $4,500 payment from the Building Rental Fund for the repair of the JV baseball field backstop in accordance with Policy 3-150.
I need a second.
Second.
And who was that, Joe?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any question concerning action item A?
Yes, just a statement about the building rental fund. A few years ago, I had asked Joe Martino about some auditorium fixes. There's painting on the ceiling. There's something going on with the brick on the side of the auditorium. Some seats need to be repaired. And we had a conversation, that we would like to eventually, build up that fund for some big ticket items. The auditorium is seen not just by the high school, but other schools and also the community. I realize we're not, raking it in right now, but just some food for thought. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Rachel. Any other comments or questions concerning action item A? Seeing none, Kate, could you do the roll call, please?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Chalesky?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe DeSilva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallino?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion has been carried. We have 11 people in favor of action item A. Rachel, would you do action item B?
Sorry. I move that the Board of Education accept for first reading policy 9125 attorney as recommended by the policy committee in accordance with 21-34.
Thank you.
Second.
Second that.
moved and seconded by,
Kathy jumped in.
okay.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did Gladys.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, any questions concerning action item B? Seeing none, Kate, would you do the roll call?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Shaleski?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe DeSilva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallino?
Aye.
Okay, so we have 11 in favor, motion so carried. Catherine Hodgson, would you do action item C?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Education accept the first reading policy 9140, board representatives, as recommended by the Policy Committee 21-35.
Thank you, Catherine. Motion made by Catherine, seconded by?
I'll second it. Amy.
Okay, Amy. Okay. Are there any questions concerning that policy in the discussion? Seeing none, Kate, could you do the roll call, please?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Shaleski?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe DeSilva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallino?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all. The motion is carried. We have 11 in favor of the action item C. Lauren Daly, could you do action item D? Lauren?
Madam Chair, I have it up on the screen if you'll allow.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm good. Okay. I'm good.
Okay, go ahead, Lauren.
I make a motion that the Board of Education accept the first reading policy 9250, remuneration and reimbursement as recommended by the Policy Committee in accordance with 21-36.
Thank you, Lauren. Motion made by Lauren, seconded by?
I'll second. This is Kate.
Okay, Kate. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Okay. Seeing no questions, Kate, could you do the roll call?
Mm-hmm. Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Shaleski?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe DeSilva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallino?
Aye.
Okay. We have 11 in favor, motion so carried. Action item D has been accepted. Joseph DeSilva, would you do action item E? Joe DeSilva, or whoever has it up on the screen. Al, you have it up on the screen?
I do action item E, time and place and notice of meeting. I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Education accept for the first reading policy 9321, time, place, and notice of meetings as recommended by the Policy Committee, Exhibit 2137.
Thank you, Al. Motion made by Al. Could I hear a second?
Second by Catherine.
Catherine, thank you. Any discussion concerning action item E? Seeing none. Kate, could you do the roll call, please?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Shaleski?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe DeSilva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Let me just check the minutes.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
No, because what if I
Al Russo?
and I forget about
Aye.
it? And then
Amy Spallino?
like, that's
Aye.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all 11 in favor of action item E. Motion so carried. We'll move down to action item F. Kathy Montalero.
I make a motion that the Board of Education accept for second reading and adoption policy 1312.2, Community Relations and Appeals, as recommended by the Policy Committee, 21-38.
Thank you, Kathy.
Seconded,
Okay, motion made by Kathy, seconded by Joe De Silva.
Funny child.
Any questions, discussions concerning action item F? Seeing none, Kate, could you do the roll call?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Chalesky?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe De Silva? Joe, can't hear you. Can I get a thumbs up?
Oh, Joe.
I'm not sure he can hear us.
Okay, that's okay.
Sorry, Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo? Amy Spallina?
Aye.
Kate, I may have frozen up there for a minute. I'm voting in favor. Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Okay, so we have 11 in favor, motion so carried. Okay. Amy Spallina, could you do action item? The next action item.
Yes. I make a motion that the Board of Education accept for second reading and adoption policy 6159, instruction, special education, as recommended by the policy committee, exhibit 21-39.
Motion made by Amy. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Al. Any question concerning motion? Seeing none, Kate, could you do roll call?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Chalesky?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe De Silva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallina?
Aye.
Okay. We have 11 in favor of the motion. Motion so carried. Mr. Dinelli, would you do the final action item, please?
Yes, thank you. I'll make a motion that the Board of Education accept for the second reading and adopt policy number 6171 as recommended by the Policy Committee.
Motion made by Mr. Janelli, seconded by Mr. De Silva. Any question? Seeing none? Kate, could you do the roll call?
Joe Britton?
Aye.
Rachel Chalesky?
Aye.
Kate Canetta? Aye. Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Lauren Daly?
Aye.
Joe De Silva?
Aye.
Catherine Hodgson?
Aye.
Rich Janelli?
Aye.
Kathy Molinaro?
Aye.
Al Russo?
Aye.
Amy Spallina?
Aye.
We have 11 in favor. Motion so carried. Thank you all for participating in our consent calendar and exhibits that we had to take care of tonight. Next on the agenda, Dr. Sayers, Superintendent's report. Dr. Sayers.
I was just testing. I was on mute. I just let everybody know that.
Okay.
Just want you to know. So, number one on there is about the academy. Kara and her leadership group, Dan at the high school, and with others, Melissa, and they been working with the academy folks in Nashville, looking at options and the types of academies that they were able to institute there, and lining this up with the portrait of the graduate. Corollary to what's going on is that we're starting to collect information regarding ed specs. So as we do that, I'll be contacting Joe Redden, facilities committee, so we can kind of talk about that. We're trying to get, so when we get some draft stuff together, and then we'll start talking about it. So that is in motion. Actually, last week on Wednesday, maybe, a group went back up to the matrix or the summit, to put some more eyes on the buildings and kind of walk now through there with a little more of a vision based on the understanding of some of the activities and learning communities that we were challenged with intellectually by the people from Nashville. So with that lens, the group went there and looked around, went with there so we could talk with architects. So that's all exciting work and moving along. So as soon as some things come together with where we could look at and you can take a look at some ed specs, we'll be calling for a meeting for you guys to look at. I think I have, my computer keeps going on. The next thing that I have on there is the Senate Bill 948. I think I sent you a copy of my testimony. I mean, this is probably old news to you, but I think, Aaron, I have been going around the state and I've been talking about the inequities in funding for the urban setting. And one of the criteria is that concentrated poverty index. You may recall a few years ago, cities were given money, and Danbury keeps getting knocked out of it because they consider us wealthy. Right or wrong, different, but if you look at the number of poverty students we have, I think that's just not justifiable at this point. So many of the schools that in the urbans need to be into that mix when funding comes available. Governor Malloy, we all supported in 2017, was to give us a 10-year payout on our money to the city, up to, I don't know, 52 million more to get us up to 52 million. And now the current governor has put a pause on it. This bill, which comes from the finance group project, accelerates that and says, infuse the money now. They give them a proposal for it. And it mainly does impact, as you can see, we call it BIPAC, the indigenous minority students of color. Those cities are the ones that suffer, and getting that money back into the mix really happens to be used in a way that's going to be fruitful. I know people are talking about ESSA money, and they're talking about that. That money has not come yet. It's going to have limitation. And the thing that this board has always talked about, thank you for the money, but what about sustainability? Right now, the cities are spending around $2,300 less on average than many of the non-urban settings. And that totally isn't just, whether it's for bilingual students, special ed students, regular ed students, students advancing in AP or not. We do need some equity to come to bear. And I think going to Hartford and talking about this, it's getting some legs, even in this economy, whether or not it happens this year, but people are beginning to listen and looking at disparity. So if you have a chance to talk about it, that's why I put the testimony in there for you. I welcome you to talk to folks about it. I appreciate it if you would. The vaccine is my next thing. Let me just ask my team, either Kara or Kathy or Kelly or Kim, do you have anything to update the board relative other than what we talked about in the recognition? Anybody? Hearing none, I guess not. They did talk to you about, what they've done, and we should pretty well be on our way this coming week. And as Kelly pointed out, with vaccinating our folks. Quite an effort on the part of many of us. So I'd like you to, now I want to talk about the hybrid extension, I'm calling it. And today I got some calls about rumors. And let me just go on the record by saying, the work that has to happen with others, and timing is everything, and it does take a lot of time. We've been looking for a few months at how we can do things, but certain things have to come together. and certainly the vaccine rate and infection ability of the being vaccinated has now come into the picture. These things really are saying to us, what next? And I've talked about last meeting, and I do want to talk a little bit tonight about what we're doing next week. I've been mindful of trying to phase in our in-person learning. And, we are targeting sometime soon in April. We talked with principals about some possibilities, but to do our due diligence, there are staff issues that need to be reconciled. You heard from Aaron, some issues with class sizes. These are all things that we have to be mindful about when we make our next move. So I think I'll start with, if you don't mind, with we have some a display, but Kelly, maybe you could refresh with the board first the things that you have been doing relative to bringing students in. Then we'll move to what we're doing next week. And then Kevin, if you could bring up the one source that we have to talk a little more specifically about some of the parameters that we're looking at if we are to increase our in-person learning. Can we start, Kelly?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Sal. So I just want to update the board. This past Monday, we did resume 4 days a week in-person instruction for all of our preschool students. So any students in our special education or typical role model peers that chose to come in person were able to return to our preschool full time. They attend a half-day program, most of the students. So it's an AM and PM session, and the number of students whose parents had opted to keep them on distance learning provided us with the opportunity to maintain social distancing safely within our space and resume in-person instruction for the rest of the kids that wanted to come in. So we are very excited to see them 4 days a week. That is their typical schedule, a 4-day-a-week program during a traditional school year. So they are back attending school as they would prior to COVID. The other things we've done within the special education department are return what we've referred to as our high needs special ed students. And this is our students that have the most significant needs, primarily students that attend self-contained programming. They have also began coming in 4 days a week. So they're a part of both cohorts. And it truly has been an effort on behalf of our building administrators, nurses, bus company to pull this effort off to get them in. So I'm happy to report that it has went smoothly so far. And I think we have made a step in the right direction to have our youngest and some of our most needy students back in school more often.
So Kelly, we saw a little vignette regarding kind of, I call it the a blended approach. You've been doing that in your classes, have you not?
Correct.
What do you think is found with that?
Sure. So within the special education department, many of our schools have one or two special ed teachers at the elementary level, some more. So we have had to have our teachers teach both the students that are coming to school as well as the students that are distance learners. And so saw in the video from Ellsworth, which just made me smile, is what we see examples of every single day. Our special education teachers, as well as our related services staff members, are teaching students in front of them, with students beaming in on the computers and tutors supporting those students as well since the start of our return to in-person instruction. And I think in the beginning, I certainly should acknowledge, some of, tech glitches, they happen. Certainly, it is an adjustment for teachers to get used to. Being in front of the screen, front and center when they're teaching and instructing, making sure to monitor what's going on in the classroom as well as what's going on in the homes. But I think once they're doing it for a few weeks, what I've seen is it really does become almost like second nature. Not quite the same as being in person, but they have done a tremendous job with it. So in partnering, our secondary students have been doing it, all students 6-12, the majority of the school year. And so one of the things that Dr. Carol Samiro and I have spoken about is, really reaching out to some of the special education teachers or the ESL teachers at the elementary level that have had more practice and experience doing this, so that when the rest of our K-5 classroom teachers go to this model, that they'll be more familiar with it if they need to. So.
Kathy O'Dowd, I know you're here. The board has asked before, we've now instituted the hybrid. We've now, over 2 weeks, have introduced the our needy special ed students are coming in. How's it going relative to the student health and contact tracing and all of the mitigation strategies? Can you comment on that for us? For them?
Sure, Dr. Sal. It has been going very well with having our students return. We are still continuing to identify positive cases, and there have been quarantines. The dashboard has been updated as of 5 o'clock today. To date, we have seen no in-school transmission, which is very good news, shows our mitigation strategies are working, but we are continuing to see positive cases spread in the community. So we're hoping that, although the numbers are better in the community, we still are seeing a lot of community spread. We need to continue highly encouraging people in the community to social distance, wear their masks, maintain all those public health measures to help us get these numbers down. But overall, nothing transmitting in school, which is good.
Kathy, I see that Kara Prunty is here. I don't know if Kara has any comments relative to the community spread. Kara?
No, just that our numbers are consistent with the state. We are down in our numbers. We're at 27 per 100,000 over the last 14 days. Our positivity rate remains around 4%. So we are pretty consistent with the rest of the state in our numbers. Where we used to be the highest and the number one in the pack, we're now in the middle of the pack. So that's some positive news.
So thank you very much, Kara, and always thank you for your collaboration. So, for the board, since the beginning, we applied for the hybrid. And the reason why we applied for the hybrid was plain and simple. Our class sizes were too large for us to be able to safely socially distance. The hybrid was our standard in order to return. So that's what we want to talk a little bit about tonight. The next step in a rollout the goal is to increase face time with our teachers. And that is, we have an opportunity that Kara will speak about the day and also about the Wednesday, and then about some next steps that we're going. So Kara, are you ready?
Sure, yeah. Along the lines that Kelly mentioned, we are increasing the in-person learning. The letter, as you're familiar with, has gone home to indicate that we'll be returning back on utilizing Wednesdays, which is great. At the elementary level, that gives us really the greatest gains while we can, in conjunction with the fact that we're extending the school day. And so in the model previous to this shift on the 15th, students were coming in at the elementary level 10 hours weekly or 20 hours over 2 weeks. But when we add in the Wednesday rotation for the cohorts, that leaves us with 13.2 hours for week 1 and then 18.2 hours for week 2 for a total of over 31 hours over 2 weeks. So we do have a nice gain in in-person contact time for students. And so we thought that was a great way to phase in some additional contact time for the students who did choose the hybrid learning. At the secondary level, the gains are not as much. However, they are coming in a full day on Wednesday, or for the day on Wednesday. There's a net gain of 5 hours of in-person contact time over 2 weeks. And so we're very happy to be bringing students in at all levels on Wednesdays. It still is an early dismissal as indicated in the letter that was sent home. And we are on a rotation schedule, which will take a little bit of adjustment to get used to for everybody. But we're excited to be welcoming our students in on Wednesdays, and also as an extension at the K-5 level for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. With that comes some adjustments with some of the instructional components. So we are going to be seeing more synchronous instruction as the day is lengthened. Some additional synchronous experiences will be included in the course of the school day. There will still be some asynchronous components that students will be responsible for as they are now, but that will be more balanced in a sense. And so while we welcome some of these changes and opportunities, that definitely is going to be some adjusting on both ends. The day, again, becomes a little bit more structured. Our distance learning students who are at home also have some blocks that are scheduled and backed into what is happening on the grade levels at the schools with the children who are in hybrid. And so in essence, it does extend the day a little bit longer for students. And so we'll be working with teachers to help them find ways to balance out the instruction across the day so that we're not keeping students on too long unnecessarily, and that we're striking that balance between the contact time and independent practice off screen as well. So we are excited about that. And we, looking forward to continuing to explore additional ways that we can increase the in-person learning for students who choose that.
So over to the next step, and so that will begin next week, which I'm excited about. All of this, by the way, we take a little step because we did extend the day. We need to look at there's supervision issues, there's substitute issues, there's cafeteria issues, many things that they're able to familiarize themselves returning back to the full day with the social distancing. It is a different situation. So that gives us time to experience that. And I think it's just smart for us to do some of that piloting and move slowly to move fast in some respects. So what's next? And I think, I did get some calls today about, oh, this is happening, this. Well, as I tried to say when I started, there's no way you can start on a Monday and decide that on next Wednesday or the following week, you're going to do something. It takes time, it takes dialogue, and rumors will spread, no doubt. But the goal that I have had since day one was to bring our youngsters back safely. And we have some opportunities. You've heard about what we're doing with the vaccine. That's going to give us certainly a great standard regarding safety. It also allows us to keep our teachers in front of our students, because they will not have to be quarantined. That is huge for us to be able to rely on that. So Kevin, I asked Kevin to put together a slide for us. Kevin, you want to bring that up? Do you have it? Okay. You could take us through it. It's hard to see. You might have to make it a little larger. Those of us that are under 40 are having a problem.
That's I'm trying to do that. Hold on one second.
Can you see your computer, Kara? All right, Kevin, you want to?
Is that good? Sure, Dr. Sal. So thank you, Kara. So good evening, everyone. So as Dr. Sal, Kathy O'Dowd, and Kara Prunty alluded to previously, our overall health conditions continue to improve. Vaccines are being conducted across the community, and schools continue to demonstrate that in-person instruction could be done safely. And as a result, we're excited to welcome more students back into our schools for more in-person learning. However, we are learning, and Dr. Sal has kind of alluded to some of these considerations, challenges that we're going to be faced with. To realize these goals, like, we're going to have to work through some considerations as we try to get our kids back in school. And so, physical space is still a challenge for us throughout the district, particularly with 3-foot social distance guidelines in place. And so, another consideration for us is possible redistribution of students. And so we could have some teacher changes, particularly in our K-5 grades. Just also want to share with the board and the community, in-person learning capacity could result in some students waiting for an available seat. So, we walked through, we had conversations with our principals this week in reassessing what their true capacity is with 3-foot distancing at the minimum. And so, in some of our schools, we can accept as many as 20 students. In some of our schools, we can accept as low as 16 or 17 students in the classroom. And then, some as high as 22, 23. And so it varies from school to school, classroom to classroom. And that's what we are continuing to learn as we speak with our principals and walk through these classrooms with them. However, it will shrink the availability and the available seats for students and families. Another thing that we've learned and it's become very clear, we're going to need to purchase additional furniture and PPE to maintain our social distancing guidelines. And so it's been a goal of the districts to purchase furniture to promote group work and be face to face. And so now, of course, in this environment, we need our kids to be separated. And so almost all of our K-5 schools, and appropriately so, we had furniture to promote good work, group work, cooperative learning. And now we are looking to purchase furniture in many of our schools that's going to be desks that kids will be separated to maintain our social distancing guidelines. And then another consideration, and this is mostly for our new families who come into the district. It's very likely that a lot of our new registrants that come in, they could be moved to distance learning without any parent choice at all. And so we just wanted to share these realities with the board and with the community as we continue to on this road to reopening our buildings.
So, for the board and for us personally, when we opened up, we had a teacher assigned that the parents had anticipated. And then we went into hybrid, and we had to make a change, those that wanted to be on DL and those that were going to be in the hybrid, and that was a change. And I think that's hard. Our next phasing in or iteration is going to require some of that as well to happen in order to balance some of these classrooms. Where it's going to be somewhat difficult for the board, and I want to reiterate this, is that the only way this will work at all, the only way it will work at all, for us to think about re-entry to a 5-day week for our youngsters is to maintain the current level of distance learning students and the current level of the hybrid students. Even with the maximum of 6 feet as a goal, 3 feet as a minimum, having these tabletop dividers for safety and full masking and vaccination, all of that coming into play, unless the 3-foot guideline is mitigated, which I don't see anywhere, anyhow that's happening. We have to create the conditions that those that are home remain at home, and as there's an opportunity to bring students in, that building by building, we discussed it, they know families, they know situations, we can then re-enter students. So that's the only way that we can operate and start planning mindfully about opening up 5 days a week. I think the question is, well, when are you going to do it? Well, that is a monumental task. We are finding secondary challenges are not as great. The K-5 challenges are much greater. And they range from the spacing issue to personnel issues, much greater than the secondary. If you would ask me, what am I targeting? I am targeting, sometime here in April. Certainly, we need to re-meet with our medical folks to review. Kim is on. I don't know if she was talk a little bit about personnel, but we have many challenges there. So it's almost like a kaleidoscope. All of you remember the kaleidoscope, getting all that blending. Well, you've got vaccination, you've got space, you've got technology, you've got union issues. All of that needs to come together. It's not as simple as saying tomorrow we start. So, we are looking at that. We started studying that for a while. We're drilling down with our principals now. The principals will be talking to teachers more actively because they're directly involved. And then we think we're going to gain all of this information and then make a decision or a recommendation to think through when we could possibly return. But it would have to take place in the two big standards. One, social distancing at 3 feet, and those families that are on DL now currently are going to have to remain in there until there's an opportunity and space to return. Before I end and open up to questions, I think, Kim, you're on. Any comments you wish to make?
No, I mean, I just would underscore that, it's complicated we don't generally just flip the switch with the number of people we have out. So just to give you kind of a bird's eye view, we've gone back through probably about 100 folks, and we're looking at them in different categories. Some are people who are out on health accommodations for whom the vaccine is magic and they're ready to come back. Some of whom, have healthcare providers that do not recommend that they get the vaccine for different, very personal medical reasons. And then we have categories of other. And then we have a lot of teachers at the K-5 level who have been teaching DL classes exclusively. And while our preference was for them to do so from the school building, we did have many who asked for different accommodations to be able to teach those DL kids from a work from home model because their own kids may have been in a hybrid model. There were other reasons, and we needed the space in the schools so that we could spread out the kids that were coming in. So that's a long way of saying it's a pretty good long list. And my team is in the process now of going through that list and really confirming with folks who's planning to be and available to be in. And then what we'll have to do is kind of overlay that list over what the building principals think that they can accommodate and what they absolutely need to adjust to this new model. So it's going to be yet another administrative feat. But as you heard before, my team's getting pretty good at this. So we'll figure it out, but it is going to take a little while to get through them all.
Kim, to the board, I know your shirt tails are getting tugged. Well, why is Danbury not in and they can in neighboring community? Well, right now, the way things are rolling out, our numbers, given the number of folks that are at home, are better reflective of that, which gives us this opportunity to return. And along with Kara talked about, we are in the middle in terms of, thank God, of the infection rate being much. So all those things now put us in this position to look at this for, targeting. The goal of the city, the goal of the state has been when conditions improve somewhat, knowing they can dip, but generally in a good trend, you look at increasing in-person time. So next week, we're increasing Wednesday, we're increasing the day, and we're still studying the rest for us to see if there's an opportunity sometime in April here to return the group. So I'm going to keep quiet unless Courtney has something. I'm not sure if you do, or Kathy.
Just to say that, Dr. Sal, we're just purchasing additional desks and additional desk guards for the safe reentry for the, elementary schools. And that's all that I wanted to say. I just wanted to, thank Kara Wanzer for, setting out what the space needs were in the buildings related to the enrollment so that we could then zero in on what the desk needs would be. And so we should be able to have that in place before a potential April entry for all the students at the elementary schools.
It does change weekly, and that's why we have to keep updating that. So with that, Madam Chairman, I'm done. But obviously, if we get closer to a decision, we'll be informing the board and working with the medical folks and start, doing our due diligence. Thank you.
Mr. De Silva had a question, Dr. Sal.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I actually have a couple. But first, let me preface this with thanking Dr. Sal and Kevin and everybody else in the cabinet. Whenever I email a question, I get responses immediately at all hours of the day and night, and that's above and beyond the call sometimes when you're responding to emails at 10 and 11 o'clock at night. Thank you very much. It is appreciated. Question on, there's a lot to unpack here about the grid that Kevin was kind enough to put up on the screen, and I'm not sure where this goes. In terms of the DL students, First of all, I'm really disconcerted to know that, to learn that we may not be letting them come back. A lot of people made decisions to have kids on DL or keep their children on DL as we did in my family for a little bit because of the teaching model, because it was a teacher 4 days a week and Wednesday instead of a teacher Wednesday, Thursday, and asynchronous Monday, Tuesday. That obviously is defeated if we're not letting them come back on a 5-day week. I understand obviously the space challenges. Is this even legal? Because the state didn't, when the state promulgated their plan over the summer, wasn't the implication to that plan that kids could come back from DL?
It still is, but I think I had indicated last week, if I haven't, they're revisiting issues as well. And my understanding now, it's a local decision. Joe, one of the things I kept doing for months, because I would sit in, I'd call the different districts, what are you doing? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. And one would do at the end of the quarter, everybody was doing something different. So I did write them last week, and one of their, Miguel was not up there, but one of the assistants wrote back and said it's a district decision, local decision. So the word legal, yes. Our goal was to have them come back. All I'm saying, the only shot we have to bring youngsters back is because of that. Without that.
Understood. And that kind of leads me to my second question, probably to Kevin. The CDC says 6 feet to the greatest extent possible. It looks like we're using 3 feet as the primary measure as opposed to the fallback measure, which really should be the fallback measure since the CDC guidance says 6 feet to the greatest extent possible. To what degree are we able to maintain 6 feet anywhere, where are we on that? I mean, it seems like a lot of kids in a lot of very small classrooms.
I think what I'm finding out, Joe, as they go around, remember we had the architect, engineer give us a template, and we started at 6 feet, some of the smaller schools, but many schools are already operating at 3. At this point, the barrier for teachers is 6 feet. That will not change. As we talked today with that, but that will remain. I think Kevin kind of hinted to keep the 3 feet. Every school has been different. The standard is like only 16 kids. And, we will not give on the 3 feet. That is, we will not do that, but some schools can do it larger. And Kathy, maybe you could respond in terms of medically, how that will play out. Kathy O'Dowd. Is Kathy still with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Dr. Sal. Thank you. So in terms of the distancing, as Dr. Sal has said, 6 feet is the goal. But we can go to 3 feet, and we have done so when necessary. We are not looking to go anything closer than that. We will continue to follow the guidelines and keep our mitigation strategies in place.
Thank you.
The mask and those glasses, I forget what you call them, those desktop, as really.
Right. Shields, yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll close on this. And we made the decision in our house to keep my kids on distance learning a little longer when we went back in January, and we sent them back a few weeks ago. And we're very happy we sent them back. It's been wonderful. Doing that with my son, who's in elementary school, required him to switch teachers. We knew that going in. We voluntarily made that choice to go from his classroom teacher to the distance learning teacher back to his classroom teacher, actually. And we were lucky he had 2 wonderful teachers. To involuntarily do that to someone in an elementary grade in April is astoundingly a bad idea. I cannot imagine how angry I would be as a parent were that to happen. I understand the challenges. I understand we're trying to figure out how many angels dance on the head of a pin. But I know as a parent, I would be mortified if that happened to my child after 9 months or 7 months or however many months it's been since September when they met this teacher on DL and came back in January to meet them in person. I can't even imagine how disruptive that would be to learning. I understand we may not have a choice, but I think that's something we really need to avoid. That's all I got. Thank you.
Dr. Sal, if I can just interject quickly. Joe, I appreciate the concern, the frustration, and I get it. We all get it. And more importantly, so do our teachers and so do our principals. And so the principals, as they did before, will do everything that they can to make sure that the kids, and I'm not trying to make light of this, but given that some of our students have had 2 teachers already, the principals will make every effort to make sure that the kids, at the very least, don't have any more than one of those 2 teachers. It really then becomes about the numbers. And again, I'm talking about the K-5 classrooms. And so, if we have 2 sections and, there's only 2 sections in your building, it's a very good chance you'll end up back with your teacher. If there are 3 sections, it really depends. But our principal is going to make it a priority to limit the movement and the transitions for our kids to close out this school year. But it was important also for us to show it that it is a possibility, because we could have places where, Kim talked about staffing earlier. And so if we have a case where a child or family wants their kid to come in, but that staff member is not going to be in the building for whatever reason, or their assignment does not allow them to be, it is possible. And so we just felt like it was important that we showed it. But I would say in most cases, our children are going to remain with either the teacher they're with now or the teacher they had at the beginning of the school year.
So this isn't really a situation where if a child is going and attending 3rd grade at Pembroke and we go back 5 days a week, we need to reallocate 3rd graders. We're moving them to another 3rd grade class. This is more a matter of kids that are returning from DL?
Well, I wish it was that simple, because it can change from school to school, classroom to classroom, grade to grade.
Grade to grade.
Right, because the conditions are all different, because the requests across the system are different. But everyone should just be assured on this call in the community, the principal is going to do everything they can to maintain those relationships that kids had at the beginning of the year. And again, given that in some cases, they did have at least 2 teachers. So between one of those two teachers, the parents are going to try to maintain those relationships.
Okay, thank you.
That's the hardest part of this. It really is the hardest part for us. And I think I'm hoping, as Kevin says, and the principals have your exact thought in mind, that the switch is not good, and try to keep as best they can the same teacher with the youngster. That's our goal. But anyway,
thank you.
Those comments, much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if Kara,
A question?
Yes. Yes, Rachel.
Is this just an issue of DL kids at the elementary level or all levels?
Yeah, because the model is a little bit different at secondary. Yes, you're right, Rachel. It's a K-5. In doing this work, as I tried to say before, right, the challenges 6 through 12 are not as great as the K-5. Really, the only challenge, by the way, I might as well tell, the only challenge that we had, and we spent a lot of time thinking this through, is the lunch. And most secondary folks are doing the grab and go, and we're going to have to stay with that. We can't supervise, and we just can't do that. So once we decided, look, this might not happen, the rest of the work has been much more we're much more capable of overcoming the obstacles. But the lunch was a tremendous obstacle for the middle, both the middle and the high school, actually. So, thank you.
Are there any other questions from board members?
So as rumors come in, Guy, just let us know and we'll try to follow up. You're going to hear more because the principals, and I told them to wait, don't get everybody excited, but they need to start talking to their staff because they might have some great ideas for instead of teacher switches, ways to do things, and we need to involve our teachers in that conversation. And you heard Aaron in the beginning, we work with our unions and we do have to look at balancing, so that will play into this. I thank everybody for their patience. But as soon as we have some definitive, I'll alert the board and we'll start obviously talking to parents. So thank you very much. Thank you, team.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sam. We're going to move on down the agenda. You have in your package information on the Open George program. And there's a question selection in there. So I'm just asking board members to please read the information that was given to you. Are there any committees report at this time?
Yes, I do. I have some.
Yes, Rachel.
Just to, I mean, there's nothing really to recap about the policy except that we took a lot of time out of the board meeting, and I apologize for that. We met on March 3rd, and our next meeting should be April 7th, but we have a regular board meeting at 7 at that date. So I just want to make sure it's okay to meet at 6 on that April 7th.
Yes, if everyone's going to be on time, yes.
Okay.
Okay. If there's a change with your committee members and can't get there and get started on time and keep it within a time frame before we start the meeting, let's look at another date. Okay. But if not, then we'll go with that date. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
And I want to say just a quick shout out to Mill Ridge Primary. I want to thank them for inviting me to their Read Across America Day. I had a great time reading to several classrooms and received some nice thank you notes. So just thanks again for inviting me. I had I enjoyed myself. The kids were great. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for participating, Rachel. Board Chairperson Communication and Comments. My only thing I would like to say is, again, thanks Sandy for working with us and being so supported during our comment section of the board meeting and making our minutes very easy to adjust and read and always had a very friendly attitude. And we certainly, as a board, wish her the best. If there's no other questions.
Madam Chair, are we in the comment portion of our meeting?
Yes.
If I may?
Yes.
Couple of things on my mind. First of all, I got my second COVID shot and met Kara Prunty's team at 3:20 this afternoon. It was on time, administered well, and I am here tonight. And I want to thank.
I got my second one today too. There's two of us, guy. All right.
I want to thank Karen and her team once again for doing a great job. I envisioned some sort of a zoo, and it was well ordered. I walked in, and a few minutes later, they administered a shot. It was very, very well organized, and I want to thank her. And thank you, Kara. And I also want to recognize our educators for the Herculean effort and dedication that they've done to get the job done with our program, with our children. And no small thank the cabinet and the superintendent of schools for getting it done and squeezing the buffalo off the nickel to get it done, and you have. And you have certainly have my respect. I want to thank Dr. Sale for his aggressive support of 948 and reading that and looking at the high number of challenged citizens in the city of Danbury. And my conscience, I have to regretfully withdraw my support for the 21-22 budget. A lot of my support was hinged on the $10 million grant money and how much could be braided into the mix. And today, this hasn't been reconciled to my satisfaction. Shame on Governor Lamont for freezing the increases that the city of Danbury so sorely needs and deserves and has coming. Again, 948. A year of pandemic when so many of our citizens are struggling to make ends meet. And I come up with a number of 34 that are above the line, above the poverty line percent. I'll put this on my shoulders. My conscience cannot allow myself to support a $14 million increase. I know what the needs are. I know what the past was. I know back in some 2010 up, we dug our way out of a recession. We had a few good years, but my conscience just And it's my opinion as a school board member, and that's all. And thank you for allowing me to present it to this committee. I am done. Thank you.
Thank you, Al, for your comments. Okay. Seeing no other, unless, are there any other comments from board members?
I was reminded,
Yes.
sorry, Gladys, that several board members also submitted testimony in support of the Senate Bill 948, as well as some of our community members, our parents. So I just want to thank them publicly as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all for doing that too. Thanks for bringing it up, Rachel.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Seeing no other, yes.
I just wanted to say that several parents had been expressing concerns about the school lunch program and what was being delivered. I saw firsthand today at a friend's house what was delivered today, and the difference is night and day. So I just wanted to say thank you. It's amazing. Fresh fruit, fresh milk. It was great. So I hope parents are happy. So I'm just sending thanks from parents. So it was great to see. So thank you for that.
We'll pass that
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
We'll send that on to Barry, because that was, Dr. Sal really asked us to do that based on your feedback and the community feedback. So we'll send that along.
Thank you, Courtney.
Madam Chair, can I make one comment, please?
Yes.
I know we had a discussion last meeting about the return of the board to live meetings, and I am certainly interested in seeing that happen. I am hoping that we can hold off until everybody is eligible to at least schedule the vaccine and have the opportunity to have the vaccine. I myself am not eligible until April 12th. And, you know, I have certainly no problem being inside of a room with folks wearing a mask. But my concern is that folks who may be watching the streaming coverage of our meetings may not be able to hear us as clearly or be able to see, you know, our mouths moving and our facial expressions, which may make it difficult for that information to be heard and understood. So I just wanted to make that comment quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I entertain a motion at 8:40, I think it's 8:49, to adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.